Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Detroit Sports Sit Down. My name is Tom Murphy Jr. I've got Dan Murphy and Joe Perry with me. This is the Lions edition. This is the first Lions edition of the 2020 year. Happy New Year to everybody out there listening. The Lions season ended on, I don't even know if you call it a sour note. The way we wanted to have the season end with the Lions just losing every game. So that kind of worked out for us. The Lions finished the season losing 23 to 22 to the Green Bay Packers. But the thing that was super, super interesting for me, and how I really want to start out the show, fellas, is the fact that when we last left this podcast way back in 2019, we really thought Green Bay was going to take over Ford Field. And I am here to tell you that is not the case. That is not the case at all. Lions fans showed up, and they got gifted a Christmas present of a really nice game. But we also all got that same comfortable feeling of getting kicked right in the nuts. You
knew what was going to happen the whole game. You're like, we're going to lose at the end, no matter what happens.
You had to know that was going to happen.
Yep.
But, they were up at one point. I remember texting you, Dan, like, oh my God, they're up 14-0. What is going on? And this isn't a Green Bay team that was sitting their players. They were fighting for, home field advantage. Like, they had a lot on the line. Lions were continuing to pick up guys off the street. And I just, all right, we're going to start this because we're definitely going to talk about how the season ended and what's important now for the Lions. But I just want to touch on the fact that how interesting that atmosphere was and how interesting the game itself was, because Lions fans, like, they showed up. And
people probably gave those tickets away to people that don't normally go to the game, so they're there all excited, and it is exciting to go to an NFL game and root for your team. You could see it on TV. I wasn't there, but you could hear it on TV, and it sounded like the Packers were getting a little bit of crowd noise as well. Were they getting it?
What would happen was that the Go Pack Go chants would start, and then myself and my Lions brethren would shut that down immediately. Every time the Go Pack Go chant started, the Go Lions, or Let's Go Lions would overtake it. And I would tell you, I personally thought that going into this game that it would be like a 75% Packers crowd. And I'm here to tell you it was a solid 60% Lions crowd. But it was funny the way it looked, because you would look around and it was sprinkled. It was a good. There were Packers fans everywhere, but they didn't take over the way I thought they would. And what do you guys just think about that? Okay. Where the Lions stand right now, it was a very disappointing season. A lot of people want to see the coach and the GM get fired. Before that game, it was announced that they were coming back. But still, Lions fans came and showed up, and they got a good game. It was an exciting football game throughout.
So they sold you that? Patricia sold you that as well, after the game, saying, yeah, you guys saw we're going to get blown out, but, it was close. Another moral victory,
I know,
right?
Such
Another
a loser mentality.
Victory.
Loser mentality on a 3-12-1 season.
That's how I look at it.
But, and in the moment,
I don't look at it as a moral victory. I look at it as a victory because they lost.
There you go.
That's what it's been the whole year.
So, had the Lions won that game, you would have been mad.
I would have been mad, yeah. I would have been upset that they lost draft position. But it would have been nice to beat the Packers, because I hate the Packers. Everybody hates the Packers. Everybody hates Aaron Rodgers.
You can find a way to screw them, And that's what happened to me, man. I'm at that game. I'm with all right. Full disclosure, I was with a couple Packers fans. I know I had to take a second just to bring that in myself. It was hard. I brought a couple Packers fans to the game, but they're fine people, and the game was about. We knew that we had nothing to play for except a draft status, but I wanted to go see a football game, and we had some friends that wanted to go. They just happened to be Packers fans, but the whole day ended up being a really, really nice day. And I'm still surprised. I'm still surprised how they hung in there. The Lions hung in.
It doesn't really matter, Tom, anymore. I mean, it's the last game of the season. It doesn't matter. It was basically for draft pick, and they did the right thing. They lost. Yeah. So now we do have a draft seed, at third pick, which now is an important draft position.
And that's,
because if we would have went up with, different people coming out, the Lions sit in a great position at third pick.
They really do. And that's what we need to quit. There's no sense in reviewing this game no more. Lions, the game's over, the season's over, and the news of the day right now is that Tua, remember Tank for Tua last year?
Yeah.
And then now the Lions sit with the way everything shook out. The Lions are sitting here with the third pick in the draft, and a lot of the talk is that the draft is going to start at the number 3 pick.
Yeah. And
the Lions are sitting in this very interesting situation because you have a regime with Quintricia, as people like to call it, have been put on notice, at least. A lot of people thought they may have been fired. Both of them. At least one of them, maybe both. Neither of them are fired. A lot of assistant coaches. Now, a lot of...
Did they resign?
Pasqualoni moved on to different
He
interests.
wants to spend more time with his family.
Spend more time with his family.
That's nice.
I think he also wants to spend more time with Urban Meyer's family, too. I think they, because, that's what people do. They go spend more time with their family. No, I think it's interesting that Patricia and Bob Quinn will be here next year, but they're on notice. But a lot of the assistants either are spending more time with their family and or looking for new jobs.
Or fired.
Or, just flat out fired. So with this third pick and with the news that Tua, quarterback out of Alabama, made his announcement that despite his... or maybe because of his hip injury. It's hard to say where really his mind was at on this. I know he had his press conference, and he's getting pretty much a clean bill of health.
Well, I think for sure he's going to be at least a top 10 pick, so it's smart to do that, because what if you do come out and you're not going to be a top 10 pick? You have an awful year. There is something wrong with your leg, so he's going to at least for sure make millions, so it is a smart thing to do.
Well, yeah. Well,
this was
him. This is a dislocated hip. What a tough injury to go through. And everybody saw him, the way he went down. Like, Twitter doctors started comparing it to how Bo Jackson went down. And that ended Bo Jackson. That type of injury ended Bo Jackson's career.
Dan, you've been pretty quiet over there.
Yeah. So, Dan, with the Lions sitting here at the third pick, but with this win next year for your job mentality that Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia have, with the news that Tua could be there, but you still have Matt Stafford. I'm trying to just set this up for you because it is a murky waters here for the Lions right now. What do they do?
Well, they're not taking quarterback. I can guarantee you they're not taking a quarterback.
Why not?
Because if it was a whole new regime, sure, they might take a quarterback. But this is a win now year. You're not taking. When you have Matt Stafford on your roster, and he's making a ton of money, regardless of the injuries, you're depending on Stafford coming back next year and being your quarterback. That's what the staff has to do. They have to win now. They have to win next year. If they're not, they're going to get fired. They have to. So they're not going to take a quarterback and develop him. They don't have the time for that. So if I were in their position, I'm trading that pick. I'm finding a team that needs a quarterback, wants Tua, and is going to trade up. I like the Dolphins. The Dolphins actually have 3 first-round picks. They have the number 5, the number 18, and I think like 27, somewhere in the higher 20s. I look at them and say, give us your 5th pick, and then you negotiate either the 18th or another pick, and you move down. You get extra. You keep adding picks.
Yeah, but Dan, with the Giants sitting behind the Lions at 4, why would Miami trade? You know that the Giants aren't taking a quarterback.
Chargers can, or another team. You say, hey, we got other teams that are interested in our pick that want to move up. That's how you negotiate.
You start throwing that out here, like, hey, we're getting.
And you talk it up, and you talk Tua. Now, this is my opinion, but from their standpoint, they talk Tua up. From now until draft time, they talk Tua up, like they're interested.
We like them. You start throwing out little caveats like, Stafford might be on the trading block next year. We could sit to a whole year, let him heal up for a whole year. Really, I like your style. Like you start really thinking maybe like we might take Tua, and then you really get people talking.
No, but in my opinion, absolutely, I have no interest in Tua. You would have Matt Stafford, and you would spend your 3rd pick on Tua. So you have a guy coming off a broken back and another guy coming off a broken hip. Yeah, I'm not interested.
Can't you
in
just
that
take parts from each of them and make one solid dude?
Give a Matt Stafford tip and Tua.
We've created Robo quarterback.
I like that.
Matt Stafford with Tua's athletic ability. Sure. Yeah.
No, I agree. I agree with you.
Can we bring Bama's defense?
I agree with you on both points, Dan, because they aren't playing for the future because they can't play for the future because they have no future if they do not win. Next year. So but I wouldn't do it either because I do like thinking that strategy and possibly doing that next year is drafting a quarterback because, like I've said in the past, I don't see Stafford playing much longer after this last contract that he has right now.
Yeah.
Because of the back injuries, because of his wife's sprained injury. So I think you do got to start thinking that way as somebody. You might have to draft somebody a little higher, maybe next draft. To think for Stafford and your future.
Yeah.
But these guys definitely aren't going to do that.
But why? Okay.
And I don't like Tua either because of the injury. I like maybe, looking at that next year and maybe...
Even before the hip injuries, he had ankle injuries. Like, every time you see him, he was limping.
Right now...
Every time. He's an amazing athlete. But he's always hurt.
This isn't... Not even about Tua, though. Like, why would the Lions brass put an ultimatum down at all? Because
whether it's said or not,
you're
it's
looking
understood.
This is a team that hasn't won a playoff game since 1992, and you're putting an ultimatum on a regime that needs to win a playoff game, contend for the playoffs, or else. So they're going to sacrifice the future for this next draft. Why would you even, if you're getting hired back, why not just say, we're bringing you back, do your best to build this franchise?
And you hope that's what they do.
But they can't. They're not going to do that now. They're going to gamble everything on this season. It's just another stupid move by a stupid organization. I'm sorry. I love these guys. They're my team. They're going to be my team. I've already decided that there's no coming back. Like, I'm a Lions fan for life. So me, as a Lions fan who knows I'm going to be here for eternity, I have the brass telling the regime that they need to win now or else, which means they're going to gamble on this 3rd-round pick.
So you think they're going
instead of doing what's best for the future?
Though. I mean, you got the 3rd pick. I'm not saying a quarterback is the best decision regardless of what regime.
Oh, it's not not at all. We don't need a quarterback right now. We could use a backup, but the Lions went through, 9 quarterbacks this year? Or the last 2 years, whatever, like throughout training camp and this and that.
Backups and stuff.
So you have a quarterback who had a broken back. Thank God they shut him down instead of trying to just struggle for a few more wins. But one more hit next year, week 2, he gets smoked, and we're right back in the same position. Whether you draft a quarterback this year or not, David Blau showed that he can lose games pretty closely. You know, like, so what are you going to do with that? So if Stafford gets smoked again, I'm not saying draft. I am not on the Tua team. No. I am not. I am on the train. I'm on the same train every year though, because the NFL draft, if you do it right, can be so deep and so beneficial. Trade your picks.
What if you trade up to 1 or 2? Would you guys be willing to do that?
No. They need
Burrow,
they need multiple
There's
players.
no reason to trade.
They're not one player away.
Yes,
but
yes,
is Young that
no,
the
I don't think so
change
either.
the defense?
I think he's a good player. There's a lot of hype.
If you were confident in their defensive line, if you were confident in their offensive line, if you're confident in multiple
areas, if you knew that Slay was
going
to come back next year, and you had another guy behind him, the secondary was so atrocious this year, and we might lose Slay. Now Slay's under contract.
I would argue that the secondary was atrocious because they weren't getting any pressure on the quarterback, which now goes back on the front line. I would also argue that they weren't very good at stopping the run, which goes back to their linebackers.
Yes.
Which goes back to the point that they are not one player away, so you cannot trade up just to get Chase Young. Would I love to get Chase Young? Absolutely.
Really,
if they were one big-time pass rusher away, I would say, yeah, go trade up. But
are you guys reading into
not.
the negative hype about Chase Young at all, about how he doesn't show up in big... Because his stats aren't there, but if you look, the guy's getting double and triple teamed, which is opening up... But what did Chase Young do to help Ohio State win a national championship this year?
He was dominant throughout the year.
He was suspended for 2 games, and he had basically zero stats, and against Michigan found a way to shut him down basically, and Clemson, pretty much shut him down. He didn't do really anything. Now my argument is that he was getting attention, which is opening things up for other guys.
You have to game plan against him.
Mm-hmm.
You have to game plan against him, which opens up areas for other players.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to you're going to have to keep a tight end in. You're going to have a running back stay in and help chip. You can't block him one-on-one, and that's what makes him great. Like, people don't understand that. They just see the stats.
Yeah.
Stats. I don't give a shit about stats. I want to see how many times did this tight end have to stay in to block when he could be going off getting it a catch. How many times did a running back have to stay in instead of going to the flats to stay in and chip? So those are the things that matter. That's how he affects a football game.
Most of what I watched him, which probably you watched him as well, was in the bigger games. So that's probably what we got. I didn't watch a lot of Ohio State earlier in the season because I don't like to watch Ohio State, to tell you the truth.
And that's what he dominated. He dominated. He looked unstoppable a lot. But he did look stoppable. But like Dan said, like you game plan against him. But no, for your point, Joe, there's absolutely no way that the Lions try to go get Chase Young. That would be absolutely ridiculous. Now, could I see them doing it because they're trying to win now?
That's what I mean.
Good Lord.
That's what I mean.
No. I don't think they'd even...
You trade down with a team that's desperate for a quarterback. That's what you do in the Lions spot. They have to do. There's going to be a team that's going to do it.
Out there.
Now it's just a question of how much can you get. And if they can get 2 first-round picks, whether it's one this year, no next year, whatever it is, if you can get multiple first-round picks and not have to move down too much, that's what you do.
Yeah. So, with the shape that the Lions are in, and with sitting with this number 3 pick, if they did just draft the best defensive player available, would you be okay with that? What if they drafted the best? What if they drafted a wide receiver?
No. That's the one position that you're confident in.
I really
the one position.
You think Marvin? I don't know if Marvin Jones is even coming back next year.
I know Kenny Galladay's coming back, top 10 receiver.
That's one receiver. Wouldn't it be nice to see CeeDee Lamb right there, or my boy from Bama?
They had two top 10 receivers this year. What did it do for him?
Not much.
They need front 7 and they need offensive line.
What about an offense? Okay, so that's the next question. I saw a mock draft today taken.
Will's an offensive tackle from Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't sit here and say, he's got great footwork. He's got this. I haven't watched film on him. I don't know, but
positions of need. So
he's rated, as a top 5 pick, and they need an offensive lineman. They need an offensive tackle.
So
we've been talking Wagner so many times on this podcast for years how bad he is.
Position-wise,
he'll be good next
what
year.
are the only positions that would be acceptable at the number 3 pick?
If they stayed in the number 3, they didn't trade down and they picked.
Yes. What would be... we're not breaking down players
anything
yet.
in
We got plenty of time to break down the draft. We have a whole summer. The Tigers going to suck.
Yeah.
Wings
we're
going to
gonna have a lot of
suck.
time. Just anything in the front, anything on the front 7 of defense,
or
anything on the offensive line.
So you
I would take, and even
seven.
if a cornerback, I wouldn't be upset.
Now, because there's some really good cornerbacks out there.
Yeah, I'd take a cornerback too. Really, anybody defensively. Anybody defensively.
One thing that does
line.
bother me would be a situation where we let Slay go. Well, we would trade him, trade Slay, and then draft a corner. Would that situation bother you?
You're not going to get much for Slay.
Or you get like a 3rd round, 2nd round pick.
You think so?
With that, I don't even think you're going to get a 2nd round for.
You don't even think you can get a 2nd round for Slay?
No.
Really?
No, that's just how the NFL works.
So how would the Lines go about keeping Slay?
Think what they had to give up for Snacks.
So whether they
give a 5th round pick for Snacks.
Yeah.
He was
the number one in the league.
At the time, he was the number 1 run-stuffing defensive tackle.
Yeah.
But they were right, because now look at this package.
That has a lot to do with the Lions as a whole.
Jalen Ramsey was 24, I did think, when he got traded, and he brought in a boatload. Slay isn't far behind Ramsey as far as when you're linking up cornerbacks.
He's dropping.
Age.
But
that's a huge
aging,
difference.
And he's not a shutdown corner anymore, man.
Ramsey's 24, right?
Yeah. I mean, Slay's he's a good corner.
But look at
he's
even
not
what that
the
did
star
for the Rams.
he was.
The Rams
3
gave up
years
a lot
ago.
for Ramsey, and then they were playing in arguably the toughest division. They just barely missed on the playoffs. But trading for Ramsey didn't even. They sacrificed their future to go all in for Ramsey, and it didn't work out. So
the Rams have done a lot of dumb stuff.
I think a lot of teams will look at that and be like, man, we're not. Because Slay, he's mad. He's mad as hell, but he's under contract. So he can choose. He can hold out and not play. But he's under contract for like 2 more years. So you're just going to miss the twilight of your prime?
It's only 1 more year. It's only 1 more year.
Yeah.
It was 2 years last year when he kind of didn't go to.
Okay, yeah.
So he's only got 1 more year.
Still, he's in the twilight of his prime, and I don't think he's in a position to force a trade. But man, I don't know. There's so many needs on. Look, 3-12-1. Yeah, there's needs all over the field.
I think Dan's right with defense or offensive line. That's our biggest needs. You need to go through. Best player available. I don't know about that with the wide receiver. What I'm saying.
Yeah, what is the best player available?
I mean, it's going to change, and I haven't done my research enough.
Like I said, we will. We got plenty of time to do this.
But I agree with Dan. More of a defense, more of probably front 7.
Right.
I always love a linebacker, but I don't see many up here that high.
I do, man. Listen, I want to end this topic and move on to what's really important right now because these playoffs are freaking awesome. I'll set it up for you guys, and I want you kind of each to give your own answer. Dan, you answer first. Joe, you answer second. Lions season going in. There were some expectations. We started out kind of hot, and then everything just went to hell. And we end up with the 3rd pick, but this regime is coming back, and we have the 3rd pick in the draft. Where do we go from here? Is there any reason, final question, is there any reason to be excited about the Lions next year?
A healthy Stafford can change everything. A healthy Stafford, and if they can figure out a way, whether it's personnel, whether it's a change in scheme, whether it's just players improving, they have to get pressure on the quarterback. If they can protect Stafford and they can get pressure on the quarterback defensively, a lot of things can change. Because what we saw in the first half of the season was they were close. They were winning in Green Bay and got screwed. All right, they were beating Kansas City with 2 minutes left. It was 4th and 8. They get a stop. They win. Right, they're there. They were there when Stafford was healthy. That offense was rolling, and Bevel did a great job with that offense when Stafford was there. So that's something to be excited about. They have to find a way to protect him, keep him healthy. And they got to find a way to get pressure on the quarterback defensively. If they can do those 2 things, they got a chance to be successful next year. But again, they're in the toughest division of football. So it's going to be tough regardless. But if they can do those 2 things, they can compete for a playoff spot. which is what they apparently all the Fords care about. It's competing for a playoff spot.
Yeah, just to get people to go and not trash them.
Not championships, not playoff wins.
Just don't trash the Fords.
Oh my God, man!
Just don't trash us.
Yeah.
But my thoughts are, we didn't expect this team to make the playoffs. We expect them to be more, 6-7 wins. So it's kind of what I expected. My positive thought is, 2 years ago, our defense was really good under Patricia. We had, we were top 10, maybe even less than that. But our offense was really bad. So then we got Bevel. So then our offense is really good and our defense is really bad. So maybe if we can finally put them both together and have average offense, average defense, get some good picks, make pick some right players. The one thing the Lions never do is pick guys that just change the culture, just superstars in the first round. And maybe we can find a guy like that finally in the first round and help our defense.
So you're saying draft a tight end?
Oh, isn't that what we were supposed to draft?
Oh, Hawkinson better go for what do you say? 100 catches, 8 touchdowns, 1,000 yards. Like that's Hawkinson next year, right?
Yeah. So that's my positive spin.
to warrant that pick.
Do I expect that? No. I expect them all to be fired next year, and
that's what I
move
expect
on.
Yeah. Terrible year. Everything sucks. Don't even get excited next year.
Play the same podcast year and just put it on next year. We'll take a year off, and then hopefully the following year will be
hope
good.
they make some good moves and things change, man. And there's some excitement. All right. Let's go. I did one last thing. I can't believe how the Lions fans did show up on Sunday, man. I can't say it enough.
Get over
man.
it, Tom.
I was so impressed at how delusional or just what I don't even know what the word is.
It was the
why
last
we
game
keep showing up.
It was
man.
the last game of the year. It's the last NFL game in this town for 9 months. People wanted to go. I was looking at tickets.
This town loves the Lions, man. No matter what.
But there was too many other games that I wanted to pay attention to, so I didn't go. But I was looking at tickets too, and I'm sure there's a bunch of people like, hey, it's the last game of the year. What the hell? They're playing the Packers. There's playoff implications. What the hell? Let's go.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people like that, and then they get in the stadium and they're playing the Packers, playing Aaron Rodgers. It's a meaningful game.
Close,
they root for their team.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens.
God, and we all got kicked in the nuts.
You only get 8 of them.
Yeah.
You only get 8 of them a year, and then you got to wait. It's a long
10.
9 months.
You get 10.
The preseason.
No. The funny
Unless
thing
you're a season
is,
ticket holder, you're paying for them. But
when Crosby hit that field goal, man, it was such a weird emotion because I'm like, no, but yes, this is what we needed. Let's get that draft pick, baby. But whatever. Forward down the field.
Let's talk about some
real football because ladies and gentlemen, the wild card weekend was wild. It was fun.
Good games.
It was fun. All 4 games were really good football games.
All 1-score games.
A lot of surprises. Joe, we could start anywhere, but where do you want to start with this wild card weekend? I know you want to go somewhere with this to start, so...
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the Patriots and Brady, and I just feel that they don't really know what to do right now, and everyone's asking them, what to do with Brady and all that. I feel like Belichick knew Brady was done when they traded for Garoppolo, when they traded him to San Francisco. So I think that's what was partly why he was really pissed, because that's what New England does. Once players, before they lose everything, they trade him, and I really think Brady is done. And I hate to say that because I love Brady. It's just he's played so many extra games too on top of that, just going to the Super Bowls, always in the playoffs. You're playing so many more games on top of that. He's 43 years old. So I think Kraft just loves him, and Kraft wants to keep him. I think Belichick kind of knows he's done. And Brady still wants to play because I think he still can play in the NFL, but he's not at Belichick's liking. So I think that's I don't know what's going to happen with Brady, and I think that's going to be one of the most interesting things over the offseason.
How much can you put this game on Brady?
I don't put it on Brady.
The weapons are not there. And this is...
That's true.
The Patriot way and all this stuff was always you find these diamonds in the rough and these guys just go. They got shut out in the second half at home in a playoff game. You can't put that all on the quarterback.
I'm not putting it all, but do you watch the game? He just doesn't have the arm that he used to. I don't know. I just feel like he's done.
Okay,
and you see how fast it hits. It hits fast. And
so when Garoppolo got traded, right? And that was the thought process was that Belichick wanted to go with Garoppolo.
Yeah.
And Kraft wanted to stick with Brady. Kraft was right. They went to 2 more Super Bowls and won one after that trade.
Yeah.
You know what we would do for that? To go to 2, you know what I mean? As Lions fans, as a Lion, you know what we would do for
Kraft
that?
was right at the time.
But they're at the same point now. They're at the same point now.
Would Garoppolo have taken them to 2 Super Bowls? I don't know.
It's hard to argue that
Brady did.
Yeah.
They went to 2 more Super Bowls and won another one.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Okay, and now you look at the team now. There's nothing there in terms of weapons. Offensively, there's nothing else there.
How does that happen for the? How did the Patriots come to this? Because
look, I mean, they had Josh Gordon, right? He flaked out like you figured he would. They went out and got Antonio Brown, hoping that he would play. The game he played, he scored. I think he had 80 yards and a touchdown against the Dolphins.
Yeah, something like that.
They ended up getting rid of him. They traded for Sanu. He didn't work out. Harry was hurt most of the year. He came in. It seems like he doesn't really know the plays and know the routes. And he's not on the same page with Brady.
Yeah.
And there you go. I mean, they kept trying and and nothing worked out receivers-wise.
You guys see that little clip where I think it was like a week or 2 ago or something, where he's just like, I can't trust these guys.
Yeah. But Dan, to your point, I would keep Brady as well, because not only that, you still have a chance to win, and what he's already done for your team, you have to keep him.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, but now
that doesn't matter.
Belichick was going into the future. He already knew.
No, I know that's Belichick.
I think Belichick knew that he could have won with Garoppolo. He was molding and grooming Garoppolo, and I think
he was ready for him to take over.
He would have taken over.
Yeah.
He would have been just fine.
He would have been fine.
I can't say that they would have gone to 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, they would have been fine.
You don't know that,
but they did get 2 Super Bowls.
But look at where Garoppolo was now, with a team that was 2 and whatever when he got hurt, and now they're number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Belichick was right in knowing that Garoppolo was the heir apparent.
Yeah.
Now, had that transition gone smoothly, Garoppolo.
Same thing happened with Rodgers and
Rodgers and Favre.
I think Brady had more left in the tank than I think Belichick thought.
Wanted to believe,
but he was also right in the fact that Garoppolo was going to be the next great one, and he could take over for him. So, you can go both ways. In a way, they're both right.
Listen.
No,
I agree. I'm just saying all what I think in their different perspectives. It's interesting.
Yeah. And I don't think Brady's done. I don't think he's done at all.
This leads to
his arm's not quite there, but he's still
I think
the most competitive and probably the smartest quarterback in the league.
How much do you think that? All right,
to Belichick, he's done.
Belichick and Brady are so synonymous, with each other. Where and the biggest argument now is it's not who's the best quarterback in history, who's the best coach in history. It's how much do the quarterback and the coach mean to each other.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
So do you think these egos at this point in time are finally... there's always been some ripples. We heard that. Do you think really now it's the point where... And especially since they just lost a playoff game at home. Now it's okay, Belichick... Maybe he goes and coaches another team.
I think there's going to be a shake-up this year.
Or Brady, he's I'm 43 or whatever.
43.
He's
going to be 42.
I'm going to go to San Diego or Chicago, and I'm going to go win a Super Bowl over there and improve it.
I don't think it's that their 2 egos are clashing. I don't think it's a problem between the 2 of them. But what I do think, and this is what I was thinking throughout the game, and I was telling my wife Laura when we were watching it, I'm like, what's a 7th Super Bowl for them together? What's the difference between 7 and 6, really, at this point? But the difference between them separating and one of them going and winning a Super Bowl without the other is huge.
It really
so
is.
If Brady leaves and goes, I've said the Titans would be a perfect team, right? With that running game and that defense, what he could do with them. But you could pick a bunch of different teams.
Vrabel as his coach.
And Vrabel building that culture. To me, that's a perfect fit, right? But there's several teams you could look at. But say he leaves, and just whatever team he goes with, and he goes and wins a Super Bowl, and he wins it without Belichick. Look at that for his legacy. As for his legacy. And then Belichick the other way. Brady leaves, and he wins a Super Bowl with whoever at quarterback, and it's not Brady.
I think
look at that for his legacy.
Winning,
he keeps winning, keeps being successful, but goes and wins another Super Bowl without Brady. That's huge. He won 6 with Brady, but then he won 1 without him, and it just proves it furthers his greatness. He didn't need Brady to win it, and on the other side, Brady can say, "I didn't need Belichick to win."
Does Belichick's rings with the Giants when he was coordinator factor into when you really compare the
you add it into his full story,
legacies?
His full career and legacy?
But you can't play as long as you can coach.
Yeah,
I mean,
clearly, yeah.
But you look more at his rings
because you have people. I mean, I would like to take a poll, or I bet there's probably something out there. I would like to ask New England fans what they think. Who's more important to it, Belichick or Brady? And I bet it'd be 50-50.
So would I.
I
think it is.
It would be? It would be like a certain portion say Belichick, a certain portion say Brady, and half of that would be both. Yeah. I think both would be the dominant answer. Yeah. I would think
because it's totally them. Because you look at these coordinators that leave, and we know it for being here with Patricia for the last 2 years. Yeah. They leave. They're not successful. None of them are. Mm-hmm. None of them. Even GMs that leave. We've seen it with Quinn now.
Yeah,
it happened in Kansas City before Reed got there. Like the people leave that organization, and they don't bring the success with them.
Yeah,
they don't because it's Brady, it's Belichick.
All right, end of an era for. Well, who knows?
It's
not an end of an era, but it's definitely a loss for New England.
I would like to see. Would you guys like to see Brady leave?
Yes,
I do too. I want to see him go somewhere.
I do. But it's on you start thinking about these things like Jordan with the Wizards and Montana with the Chiefs.
It's not that though. I think it's Manning with the Broncos.
Yeah,
I think it's Manning with the Broncos. He's got to find the right team.
Those guys are good friends, man. I wonder if Peyton's in his ear, like, "Hey, man, it worked for me." Yeah,
he's got to find the right team. He can't just go to. You can't go to a team that went 5-11 last year. He's got to go to a team that's successful that just needs that quarterback.
This is probably just a stupid question to ask, but I'm gonna throw it out anyway. Brady to the Lions, just somehow.
Come on!
No, I'm seriously. There's no.
Then we draft
chance.
There's no. Because what better organization to lift?
Yeah.
Like if you he's from Michigan. I mean, he's from California, but he went to Michigan.
Sorry,
with Patricia, Bob Quinn. You're not even going to entertain it. There's no way to even entertain it.
It's not. No.
Why? Oh, okay. All right. That's all right.
Tom, I have three words for you. Did you like that? Do you like that?
All right. That's a good transition, man. You like that? Because speaking of another guy who played college football in the state of Michigan and won pretty much an improbable game this weekend. Yeah. Did you guys think Minnesota even had a chance against New Orleans?
No, I didn't think.
No.
I didn't either. I don't think anybody did.
I had the Saints
especially
in the Super
with
Bowl.
That terrible effort that I thought, the Saints at home. And did you also think that there could be any type of controversy revolving pass interference on the last play of the game?
I know, that's
2 years in a row for New Orleans. Did you think that at all?
I thought for sure they would reverse it. I thought
they would too.
I'm
man.
like, they will reverse that for sure. And then they didn't even. They looked at it, but
hold on. That's all right. So Minnesota beats New Orleans 26-20
in OT
in overtime at New Orleans. Kirk Cousins played probably the game of his life, and he laid, in one of the most crucial moments, he laid in the most perfect pass, and Adam Thielen hauled it in. It was just beauty to watch. And that set up the Kyle Rudolph touchdown where he blatantly extended his whole arm and pushed off to catch that ball.
Pass interference.
Do you call that though?
Yes.
To reverse
Don't you let the players decide because there was.
He decided. He pushed off.
There was some scrapping.
He extended his arm and pushed off. It affected the play.
And that's what I said. I'm trying to lay the groundwork out.
I know, but I'm just so.
Kyle Rudolph straight up pushed that dude off and caught a touchdown.
How do you look at the replay and not say he pushed off?
Because they look at the replay, see the pass interference, and they haven't called it all year, even though though they brought in instant replay on pass interference specifically because of what happened last year against New Orleans.
In the playoffs.
They don't call it all year. Nothing. I don't think a single.
They had some reverse.
Was there like where? Like
they were mainly picks. What it wasn't intended for.
Yeah.
It was mainly like picks and stuff like that.
Basically, this rule was inconsequential all year, and then here we go. New Orleans. I'm not going to say they got screwed because
they didn't play well.
They did not play well. This
no.
one, last year, that game was a thriller, and both teams played their hearts out, and it was a great game. And New Orleans got screwed last year, clearly
against the Rams.
Against the Rams,
yeah.
This year, the Vikings beat
They outplayed them in their house. The Vikings deserve to win. I mean, ultimately, because they were the better team. But still, it comes out of that play, they would have been kicking a field goal, most likely. Because that was a third down play.
Yeah, it was.
And that's overtime.
And it's overtime, so you keep going.
Which
is a whole other can of worms. But the whole, I don't want to get in a whole instant replay debate, but I just see it. I see it all around the world. Like, I've been watching European soccer, and they have a huge problem with it there now.
Yeah.
It's like instant replay was meant to fix the clear and obvious mistake.
It's not about,
that is a clear and obvious mistake.
Yeah, we don't want to show up the refs by changing the call. That's just the dumbest argument I've ever heard.
Like, that is such bullshit. All of it. The replay in general is bullshit. Like, the whole point of it, it's a clear and obvious play that a 5-year-old to a 95-year-old could sit there and watch it one time on a replay and say, okay, that's what the call should be. Everybody watching that could say, yeah, he extended his arm and pushed off. That's offensive pass interference.
Yes.
It should be a flag. Everybody can see that on first replay. That's what the replay's for.
Yeah.
Use it. Use it correctly. It's not that difficult.
Well, why do you think they didn't?
I don't know. I don't understand.
Is it because you want to let the players decide the game? It was such a crucial moment.
It's a penalty. He extended his arm and pushed off.
That's why I figured
affected the play. Allowed him the opportunity. But the corner couldn't jump up and make a play because he got pushed off on. Plus, it's a penalty.
Kyle Rudolph is 6'6". You know, his arm span is probably pretty big, so you could just hold your arm out and catch the ball. It's pretty much the same
what
thing.
He did, and I saw it clear as day when I saw it. I'm like, oh, they're going to call offensive pass interference. He pushed off.
But
where's the flag? The first thing I said was, "Where's the flag?"
Tom, if they called that offensive pass interference on the field, and then they reviewed it on replay, they wouldn't have changed.
It would have been offensive pass interference.
It's such bullshit. I hate it.
Yeah.
It's so obvious. Just call it. Whether you missed it on the field or you see it in replay, make the right call.
If it was a little bit closer, if for some reason
he fell over and fell back.
No. I'm just saying
if
he didn't have a full extension or something like that, but it was just like he only half extended, or let's say the defensive back was grabbing one arm and then Kyle Rudolph kind of extended with his off arm and then still found a way to catch the ball. Like if it was a little less obvious, would you be on the side of let the players decide it on the field?
Yeah, for sure.
Or if
it's less obvious, then you go to replay. Like I said, replay is just to get the clear and obvious. To me, that was a clear and obvious play. You change the call on the field based on a clear and obvious thing with the replay. That's how you use replay. To me, that was in a situation where replay should have came into effect.
Yeah.
Should have been looked at once. This should take no more than 30 seconds. You see that it's offensive pass interference, you change the call and you fix it. That's how replay is supposed to be used. Yeah. Across the world, replay is being misused, and it's causing these situations which replay was supposed to fix.
And now we're sitting here arguing about a good foot.
And it blows me away that people can't figure this out.
This was a great football game played between two good teams. Obviously, the Saints did not play well offensively, and especially at home, their offense is so explosive, and the Vikings just found a way. And Kirk Cousins found Adam Thielen, who came on strong last year pretty much out of nowhere, and then struggled with injuries pretty much all year, played a great game. So and then Dalvin Cook struggled with injuries, played a great game. But Kirk Cousins, who just gets ridiculed time after time. We all know the stat. 0-9 on Monday Night Football. Had the, struggling with the fact that Minnesota gave him big money, franchise QB money, to come and win games like this. And now the game is marred by a stretch of a hand that should have been called but wasn't. It's bothersome, man. It is, man. I love this game of football and playoff weekend or playoff season. It's the best, man. There's nothing like it, man. It's hard to compare. Like, we all love hockey season for the hockey players for a reason, basketball players for a reason. You know, Dan, you're getting a soccer. I'm sure your little tournaments and stuff are fun to watch from time to time. NCAA basketball, they're all so great, but nothing compares to playoff football. And when these games are coming down to penalties that aren't corrected, when the technology and the rules and everything is there to correct it, make the right call on the field, it's frustrating, man. But at the same time, Dan, I don't think this equates to last year.
No, it's not. It's not.
No, it's not that bad.
Because they should have never. The Saints should not have been in that position because the Saints should have scored points all over the field, and they did not. Minnesota should not be thinking, "Man, we got lucky and we advanced because of a blown call." We advanced because we won a playoff game on the road against a team that nobody in America thought we would win. But still, it still leaves
annoying. It sucks.
A little salt on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
At the end of the day, the Vikings did what they needed to do. They went into New Orleans, outplayed New Orleans, and beat them. And Cousins won a big game. That's the main story I take out of it. I think the pass interference is important. I think it's a problem with replay. But at the end of the day, the Vikings deserve to win that game because they outplayed the Saints.
Yeah. Now, we got Houston and Buffalo. Houston wins 22-19. That was a really good game.
Yeah, back and forth. Well, not back and forth.
A lot of...
one-sided.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Buffalo should have won that game, but really kind of fell off, man. But these are two teams that, I mean, come on, do any of us really think that either of those two teams have a chance to really compete?
Hey, man, what the hell? I think everything's kind of up in the air. I didn't predict. I think the only game I predicted right out of these games were the Seahawks, and a lot of that came to, and we'll talk to it in a minute. But the Eagles lost, Wentz. So all these games were super close. It could have gone either way. So really, anything's up in the air. I'm not gonna stand here and say there's no way these teams can go out and win next week because they can. They just proved it.
Yeah, anybody can beat anybody.
So to Houston, I think Houston, and if one thing with that game in particular is that Houston proved that they can get it done. Deshaun Watson continues to be a gamer. Man. Yeah. I think that's the one thing we can take out of that.
It's absolutely clutch.
Oh, man. Deshaun Watson. All right, but we can move straight past that because we want to talk about the games that are going forward. But we got Seattle and Philly. Seattle goes on the road, wins 17-9. The big thing about this game was Jadeveon Clowney knocks out Carson Wentz. Two things about this. I thought it was a dirty hit. I thought Jadeveon Clowney used his head as a weapon to take Carson Wentz's head into that frozen ground. I don't think Clowney is a bad guy. I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's a great player. I think he did at the moment though get too much into that hit. But the fact is, I don't even think he got flagged for it. It knocked out Carson Wentz. This happened early in the first quarter, so changed the whole dynamic of the game. The second part of this is, did Philly make a bad decision going with Carson Wentz, and will Carson Wentz get over the injury hump?
That's tough to predict. But it's huge. But this is 3 years in a row.
What do you say about Carson Wentz now? Because my God, you can't control that. He was going.
No, you can't.
He was making a move, and he was running, and he got his head smoked into a frozen ground. Carson Wentz, he's just not a gamer, man. You can't just get knocked silly and come back in the game. They wouldn't let him back in the game. You don't think Carson Wentz wanted to come right back in that game? I wonder if Carson Wentz knew where the hell he was.
Did he look that knocked out to you? I watched the play too, and I didn't see it as dirty as you, but I didn't watch it a million times, or I didn't go back and watch it, but it just looked like it's a big 250-pound guy diving at him, and I don't know. To me, it's hard. They're running at full speed. Once you slow everything down, it's completely different than when you got a 250-pound guy running at full speed.
But
that's fast.
It's the way Clowney... And it is. This is me watching it, directing it on slow motion.
He's diving,
it's the
right?
way they're both diving. Like, well, Clowney's like getting him from behind, but in my opinion, Clowney takes his helmet and directs it into.
But he's probably trying to like wrap up.
Yeah, I know. And it's like I said, it's a lot easier to have opinions when it's in slow motion.
Yeah, I didn't see it as dirty as you did.
Played so fast.
I didn't see it as dirty as you did.
But there was definitely controversy there. Mm-hmm. And
I think the question is for Philly though, like this is 3 years in a row. Carson Wentz is a hell of a quarterback.
Yeah,
but 3 years in a row, you've needed him for the playoffs, and he's not there.
But
now, obviously, they won that Super Bowl with Foles. They went on that crazy run.
Yeah.
But it just goes back like you can't just separate yourself from Wentz. You can't trade him. No. Like he's been great for you in the regular season, but you gotta have an insurance policy. Yeah. You gotta have a good backup quarterback.
Did they make a bad move letting Nick Foles go, or should they have?
No,
they should have made. Well, they should have let Foles go, but they should have made sure they had a good backup.
Yeah. You couldn't pay Foles. You couldn't pay Foles
because he got starter money. You can't pay a quarterback starter money.
There's a salary cap. There's only so much.
You got to find a good.
And Foles was getting his money after what he did.
Yeah, but there was good quarterbacks out there. We've gone through this a little bit, but like Tannehill, and
God, what a pickup for Tennessee, man! Like you see how that's paying off for him. Oh my Lord!
Yeah, Tannehill was huge.
But when
Fitzpatrick's a great example. He's a guy that he's like what I think about when in baseball you got a 4A player, right? Yeah. Like he's great in the minors, but he's not quite good enough to be a starter in Major League Baseball. He's like that. He's like he can step in for you. You know, you gotta get hurt in the second quarter.
He starts every year though. That's the thing.
I know, but look at how many teams he's bounced around. He's like the perfect backup. He can come in and win a game or two for you when you need to. But he's not going to take you to championship as a starter for your whole team. He's not a franchise quarterback.
Yeah. You guys see the stat? This is one of the craziest stats I think I've ever seen, where Fitzpatrick has beaten the Patriots in the regular season on every team in their division.
That's crazy.
How wild!
But it doesn't surprise me. It's just how he is. He bounces from team to team.
Dolphins, man. He's beat the Patriots on all three of those.
He's
teams.
Really good in small stints, but he can't carry a team throughout an entire regular season. He's the perfect backup quarterback.
To watch when he's on his game, man.
But just that's the type of guy that Philly needs to have. They need to have a guy that can be a top backup.
What do you do with Wentz now? Like, you
stick with him. You got to stick with him. But like I said, you got to have a quality backup that you can trust. That if Wentz goes down for a game or two, or he goes down in the second quarter of a game, that can come in and run your offense and keep you there.
All right, I want to spend some time talking about the future here because, man, oh man, I am very, very excited about Saturday and Sunday because we have some matchups. Man, we got some matchups. For all you NFL fans, for those of you that live and breathe football, like, this is what it's all about, man. These divisional playoffs are going to be serious. Mm-hmm. It starts off on Saturday with Minnesota, San Francisco. And then at night, you got Tennessee going to Baltimore. And then on Sunday, you got Houston going to Kansas City. And then on Sunday night, you got Seattle, Green Bay. All four of these matchups are so intriguing. So many storylines. So much to talk about. We're gonna talk, man. Let's spend some time talking about these because what a treat for football fans. Like, oh man.
I'm not as excited about this round for some reason. I
don't
know.
I am. What really? Well, let's start there, man. Some of these spreads are.
I feel like some of these games are going to be blowouts. I feel like last week was the better games, but you never know. I mean, I'm always 50% on the first week.
I think the names are gone. The names of the games are gone. So, like at first, when I was watching it, I'm like, oh man, I really wanted to see Patriots Chiefs. I wanted to see Bills Ravens because they had a great game in the regular season. Mm-hmm. I wanted to see Breeze go and they have good matchups. But then I started thinking, I started looking at these matchups, and I'm like, okay, you start breaking them down and really looking at them, like, damn, these are freaking
These are
good games.
serious football games.
Like, because the names are gone, Brady's gone, Breeze is gone, you kind of get a little disappointed, but then you actually look at these games. And
let's start with this. That's a great point, Dan. So Breeze is gone, Brady's gone, all right? That's two big-time quarterbacks that are superstars. We got two quarterbacks. We got two quarterbacks on the cusp right here with this first game, Minnesota, San Francisco. You got Kirk Cousins, who... We already said he's been in battles, but he finally won a big game, and he looked like he led that team. Now he's got to go into San Francisco where the elements are not going to be harsh. You're not going to have to deal with snow and cold or whatever.
I think it's going to be the same
thing. And then you got a quarterback on the other side. You got a team in San Francisco who was a really bad team just a few years ago for a long time, but they're a story franchise. And now you got Jimmy G here. You got a good defense. This is a good matchup. And if you're Minnesota, you're glad that you got this matchup. I think. I think you'd rather have
going to Green Bay.
Than going to Green Bay. I think you would rather go to San Francisco than go to Green Bay. I think Seattle's got the tougher matchup right now. And I also think that they're lucky that Seattle didn't win that Week 17 game and that they would have to go to Seattle. I think out of all three of those scenarios...
I think the Vikings have to have a good run game in order to win. And I think the 49ers... is the one team that can stop that.
Really?
Yeah, because of their defense and how solid their defense is. So I honestly think that that's a worse matchup for them. I don't know. I think I'm a lot higher on the 49ers than a lot of other people. I mean, they were the number one seed, but I just feel like, what's his name? Has to have a good game, the running back.
Delvin Cook?
Cook, yeah. I don't know why I couldn't
from Minnesota? Yeah.
Cook needs to have a good game, just like he had against the Saints, and that's the only way they can, other than... And then their defense has to...
I think Minnesota's going to be able to pass on him. I think this one is not going to come down. I think this one is going to be... I don't want to say a shootout, but I think there'll be some off, because once you get into this point, the shootouts... They don't really happen as much,
No.
Sometimes.
But you're going to see some offense in this game, man. I think you're going to see some passing attacks here. I think George Kittle's going to have a good game. I think Thielen will have a good game. I think this game's going to go into the 30s, man.
Really?
I don't know. I don't think so. I
think it's going to be more smash mouth.
I agree. I think both these teams like to run the ball. Mm-hmm. Both teams have great defenses. I think it's going to be more smash mouth. I don't think it's going to be a big time air attack. These teams are very similar.
Yeah.
They got good quarterbacks, but not great. Mm-hmm. And both Cousins won the big game last week, obviously, but both of them haven't really won the big game yet. This is, and they're still, fairly young in their careers. Garoppolo younger, obviously, but they haven't kind of had these moments yet. And then you have these teams that both want to run the ball and they both have great defenses. So, and it's not like when you talked about Tom, going into San Francisco it's not daunting. You don't think of San Francisco as this incredible home atmosphere.
Joe Montana and Roger Craig and Ronnie Lott are not suiting up, man.
Yeah.
It just isn't, man.
Like you said, the options,
But it is across the country. You are going to the West Coast.
It is.
I think it's so much different. Especially in the playoffs, going from the East Coast in the frigid temperatures, going to the West Coast, it's so much different than playing in the West Coast and going to the East Coast. Yeah. It's just different, man. And like I said, Dan, it's just the San Francisco team. It's just they don't strike the fear in you, and especially with the confidence that Minnesota has now, because I would have been a lot more fearful going into the Superdome, playing in New Orleans, man, with that crowd and that explosive offense. Beating them, if I'm Minnesota, I have supreme confidence going into San Francisco right now.
They're finally running on all cylinders.
And you think
they have everything going. Kirk Cousins, didn't have the confidence. They didn't have the confidence in him. You saw it in the locker room after the game. They're all behind him now. Yeah. They didn't have Cook in that Green Bay game, the crucial game to win the division.
Yeah.
Cook's back. He's strong. They're on all cylinders right now. What everybody thought Minnesota could be and had a chance to be, they're there right now.
And 6 seeds can win, man. New York Giants, man. The 6 seeds can pull this out. And now I'm starting to wonder if Minnesota is even now a 7-point spread. Minnesota, for all you gamblers out there, are getting a full touchdown. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the smart money is on Minnesota with that 7 points.
I'm not saying Minnesota's going to win. I kind of think it's almost a toss-up at this point. But I would take the 7 points.
So let's predict this.
No, I would too.
Let's predict. I'll go first on this one, man. It is tough. Not against the spread. Let's just pick straight
up.
Yeah. Oh man, I know. Oh man,
super tough, man.
I think Minnesota wins this game, man. I think they do. I think Minnesota wins. I said it's going to be in the 30s, but now you guys brought up some really good points, and now I'm starting to backtrack myself. I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to say the winning team gets 30 points. So I'm going to go 31-28 Minnesota.
I think, like I said, it will be a tough fought game. Both teams, like you said, Dan, are pretty similar. Try to run the ball, play action passes. But I do think the 49ers will win. I think it's going to be 24-20, 49ers.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great football game. I really do. And I'm really looking forward to it. And like I said, they're very similar teams, but I think San Francisco's going to end up pulling it out. I mean, I like Minnesota with the spread. I like 7 points. I think that's a big spread. But I think San Francisco's going to win this with a field goal. I'll say 27-24 San Francisco. I think Kittle is going to be a big factor. I think he's going to be the game changer and make the big plays and the big moments.
I like that guy, man. I can definitely see that happen, man. I'm becoming a big Kittle
I got him in
fan.
fantasy too, so.
Yeah. All right. So there you have it. That's game number 1. We got 3 more of these to go, man. We could talk about it all night, man. My God, I love football. Tennessee-Baltimore, the night game. Man, Baltimore has been, they've basically been on bed rest for 3 weeks now or something like that, because
we talked about that. Yeah, we're going to see.
Yeah, we're going to see. They ended up resting their guys. Rust over rest. What's going to happen? Baltimore, a 9-point favorite at home against Tennessee. Can Tennessee even score 9 points? Will be interesting because the offense is just not explosive, but that defense, the game planning, the game management, and just the way this team is rolling, man. The Tennessee is just that team that's just like the little engine that could right now, just getting it done.
And that engine is Derrick Henry.
200 yards.
That's a big engine.
Derrick Henry, man.
That's a big engine that can.
Holy smokes, dude. That guy just run the hell out of the ball, man. He took his spotlight and he just ran with it. Pun intended. That guy, dude. He was the heart of that team, man. But Baltimore, man, they're so good this year. They're just good. They're a good football team. Dude, defense. They can run the ball. You got a quarterback who's playing out of his mind.
And over 1,000 yards rushing.
Well, over 1,000 yards rushing and 3,000 yards passing this year? How many touchdowns? You get the stats lined up?
I'll pull them up real quick.
Oh, my God, dude. It was so many touchdowns combined because he ran for his own touchdowns. He's throwing for touchdowns. Lamar Jackson. And now, here we go, man. You got John Harbaugh, who is a Super Bowl champion. So he is a coach that knows what it takes to win. And he's got a team with him, man. He has got a team. And you got a night game at home against arguably the weakest team in the playoffs. Like the team that you would think wouldn't win it all. Like would Tennessee be one of those teams that you just didn't think could make the Super Bowl, even though they made the playoffs? Like, if you had to pick a team that wasn't going to win the Super Bowl,
they would have been the team, yeah. If you were ranking them 1 through 12.
Maybe Buffalo.
No, I think I would have put Buffalo ahead of Tennessee. If you were ranking them 1 through 12, Tennessee would have been 12th.
Yeah. Just by the way, I mean, they're playing with their second-string quarterback. But they play hard, they run the ball, and what wins playoff games, man? Strong defense, clock management, running the football, man. Being effective on third downs.
Having an ineffective quarterback, though.
And Tannehill Remember, Tannehill used to be the guy, man, for a while, and then he kind of fell off, and then he was the backup quarterback to Mariota and they shut down Mariota, and this team looked like they weren't even going for nothing, man. They shut down their quarterback.
I'll give you Lamar Jackson stats real quick.
Yeah.
3,127 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 1,206 rushing yards, and 7 touchdowns.
That's insane, man.
That's incredible for a running back.
Yeah. I would have loved to have that running back on my team.
And we had a quote today, man. This might be the quote of the playoffs, man. Vabro was asked, man, he's like, how do you plan on shutting down Lamar Jackson? And he goes, other than tying his shoes together? like, that's about all I got, man. What do you say to that, man? Like, I don't know, man. We're gonna so...
You got to hit him. Every time. If he's going to carry the ball, you got to hit him every time.
You got to shut
time after time after time.
One part of his game down. You got to either shut down him.
But that's the thing. You
can't.
Him. But that's the thing with he's like when they say dual threat. When they say dual threat quarterback, he is like legit dual threat quarterback.
Is.
He's not like shut me down, running game. Guess what? I'm gonna pass all over your ass. You know,
that's the thing. If he's gonna carry the football, and I say this about any team that has a running quarterback. If he's gonna run, you got to punish him every time. Make him pay for it. You have to punish him every single time he runs the football.
But he's such a good decision maker that he's not gonna get punished. But and you're hearing the things, they're going after his legs, and they're going to hit him, and this is going to be a hard-hitting, bloody war, man, as far as football goes. I think Lamar Jackson's ready, though. I really do.
So what's your pick?
I got Baltimore. Will they cover the 9? I don't know about that, but because I think this one, like where I think Minnesota, San Francisco, you can see a lot of offense. I think this one's going to be a street fight, man, but I think Baltimore comes up 24-21 Baltimore.
I do think they will cover. I think Ravens are way better than the Titans. The only way the Titans can hang is if Henry can have another 200-yard game, whatever he had last time. But I do see the Ravens winning by more than 10. So I would say 31-17 Ravens.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game because I think it is going to be just a bloodbath, just an absolute physical battle. But I think Baltimore's going to find a way. You can't completely shut down Derrick Henry, but they'll find a way to contain him. He's not going to go off for 200 yards. I don't see it. And I think this game is where Tannehill's going to get exposed. Like you started to see a little bit last week against the Patriots. Like there's some big throws that he needed to make, and he didn't make them. But, Tennessee was able to get by with defense and ball control and wearing down the clock and some really good coaching from Vrabel. But I think Tannehill's going to get exposed in this game, and I think Baltimore is going to win. And I'm going to say, I'll say 28-17 Baltimore.
All right. So we move on to Sunday. Houston at Kansas
This is
City.
the game I'm most interested in.
I can't really. You can pick one.
Yeah,
that you're most interested in?
Because I like the Chiefs.
I can't.
I like watching the Chiefs.
I am equally excited for all four of these games.
I love watching the Chiefs. Man. I don't know why.
I'm gonna. Yeah. Now here we go, man. So Houston with squeaking out a win against a tough Buffalo team, but I mentioned earlier, Deshaun Watson, man. The guy just finds a way to win, man. And this whole team with J.J. Watt coming back, and he's such an emotional leader, and the defense looks good, and man, who can't root for DeAndre Hopkins, man? I just love this guy. But so I like Houston as like an emotional team, like rooting for them. I just like these guys, but I also love Kansas City too, man. I love Andy Reid. I want to see Andy Reid get a Super Bowl ring. I think Andy Reid deserves a Super Bowl ring. I really do. I don't think it's coming this year. But I want to see him get it. Now, the thing about this matchup is Kansas City, they're getting 9, they're minus 9.5. Like 9.5. They have the biggest spread of the whole weekend against a Houston team that is pretty solid. So that's saying a lot. And this Kansas City team, they didn't look dominant this year. Mahomes came back down to earth a bit. He still looks great. They still have all their weapons, but they didn't look as dominant this year as they did last year.
Their defense is a lot better this year than it was last year.
You think so? And that says a lot, because the defense was not that good, and ultimately that's why they love. Well, I mean, we all remember D Ford jumping off sides. Oh man,
I think that was part of their problem last year.
But D Ford is gone. They're like, you're out of here, pal. But the defense, I don't think they got that much better.
They're not awesome, but they're a lot better
from last year. But their offense has come down
a little bit. But you had Tyreek Hill hurt for a lot of the year.
Mahomes was out.
Mahomes was hurt.
Yeah, Mahomes out.
They had juggling their
their running backs. But
now Williams was hurt for a little bit.
But now they seem like, especially with getting that bye, man, that bye is so crucial. And now you're in the divisional part of the playoffs, and you get the home. And you want to talk? We said you're not really intimidated going into San Francisco, going into Arrowhead Stadium. Do they still call it Arrowhead?
Yeah, yeah.
Either way, Kansas
probably
City.
Got some type of sponsor on it.
Going into that blood red stadium, dude. How wild that dude. That place is going to be electric. Mm-hmm. Oh man, I can't wait to see just how that crowd is going to be. I think
it is, but that's they're not very good at home in the playoffs, though.
Weird, isn't it?
Throughout history, they've just struggled to win playoff games, even at home, even in that great atmosphere.
And Andy Reid with his problems, even though he's been he took Philly all those years, to the Super Bowl, but always lost the big one. Doesn't have the big ones under his belt. So, is this his time? Is it?
I think so.
I don't know, man. I like Houston a lot right now. I think they're going to keep it real close, man.
I think it is going to be closer.
I think it's
going to
be a very close battle. Yeah, I think the spread is a lie, dude. I think Vegas is just trying to get people
to bet on Texas, because that's what they'd be trying to do.
I don't really understand why this spread is so high, because I think Houston's a lot closer than a 9.5 point underdog. And this game is going to be it's going to be a battle, man.
So what do you think, Tom?
This one's tough too, man. That's what I'm saying. All these games, I love them, man. I can't wait to see them. I'm going to ride with Kansas City, though. I'm going to ride with Kansas City. I think that home field advantage is going to play a part. I think Mahomes is ready to shine. I think he's really going to step up and play a great game. And you got two of the best weapons in the NFL in Kelsey and Tyreek Hill. And I think those two guys are going to make the difference. Houston, they're going to get their points, but KC's going to get just a few more. I think this one's going to be close. If I'm betting spread, I would take Houston, but I'm taking Kansas City for the win. I like Kansas City to win 27-24.
I agree with you about the Chiefs, especially with the two top targets, with Hill and Kelsey. Their defense, like I said, is a little bit better this year. I think that was their problem last year. The Texans, they're just okay. I don't think they're like a dominant team. I do see it being a little bit more high scoring of a game. I think this one's there's going to be some points on the board with both quarterbacks. Both can score some points. So I think it's going to come down to, who puts up the better game with the quarterbacks. I think that's what it's going to come down to. But I think the Chiefs are a better overall team. So I do see them winning. I'm going to say 34-28 Kansas City.
Yeah, I think this is the one game that I think could turn out into a blowout. I really like Kansas City in this one. I just watching Houston last week, and I know they came back in the second half and ended up winning in overtime, but man, I think a lot of things got exposed in that game last week against Buffalo, and I think Kansas City's going to bring that to the forefront. And I think this is the game where Kansas City shows, hey, we're still a really, really, really good football team, and I think it's all going to come together for them, and I think they're going to put it on them. I really do. I'm going to say Kansas City 38, Houston 21.
All right, and the last game of the day, Green Bay and Seattle. Green Bay -4, playing at home. They got that Lambeau in January advantage. This game is so intriguing. I mean, Seattle, such a solid team. Marshawn Lynch looks to be like in great form. So now the running game is there. The defense is solid for Seattle, but they're going to Green Bay, which I personally believe Green Bay has got to be.
Marshawn Lynch had 6 carries for 7 yards.
I don't know what you're talking about. Marshawn Lynch is in great form.
He's beast mode, man. He
had one
beast mode
good
stuff.
Run.
Yeah, and he got to the end zone.
That's I thought when you said that, I'm like, I thought he had a horrible game,
he
but he
hasn't
had a
really
touchdown.
done much since he's come back. He's scored because they've been on the goal line and they give it to him. Yeah. But he's not beast mode. He's
still beast mode, man.
He's
he gets into that end zone, man. And did you not see the highlight where he just shrugged the dude off, man? Like, I don't know, man.
He had one good run.
He's not Derrick Henry.
He's not Derrick Henry, and he's not Marshawn Lynch from, like, 2010. But
you will see him get more carries. The only one that really did run good was Russell Wilson, because even their homer had 11 carries for 12 yards, 1.1 yards per carry. So no one really ran good.
And that game was not a offensive, masterpiece by Seattle or Philly. But what I'm saying is Seattle, they're probably the one team in the NFC equipped to go into Green Bay in January and win a football game. But so my question to you guys is, how big is the home field advantage for Green Bay?
I think, like you said, it normally is a bigger home field advantage than it is against Seattle, just because of the cold weather. But I feel like it's always raining there, so they're used to bad weather. It depends what it's going to be. I haven't looked yet to see how cold it's going to be. If it is 0 degrees weather,
it doesn't look like it's supposed to be too bad. No. Saturday it's supposed to be worse. Saturday they're expecting snow, but it looks like a Sunday it's supposed to be like 25 degrees.
Oh, then that's nothing.
And sunny. So
I would say if it's really, really cold, whoever runs the ball better would probably have an advantage, which would probably be the Packers. But I could see this game really going either way. I mean, I think either team could win this game. I've been going back and forth on who I think is going to win this.
Yeah, I think Green Bay's got the better running game, at least right now.
Yep,
I think you look at this game and you look at the
playing elite.
He's playing great, and you talk about Marshawn Lynch coming back to form. He's definitely not back to form. That's a big detriment
he
to
had
the
some
team.
strong. I don't know. I see him. He just brings an element to the team.
You're not going to get 100 yards from the running game.
No.
And that's when you're looking at these two teams. Green Bay's got the advantage of the running game. That's going to be a huge difference. But it goes back to what we said before. I think this game's going to go on Russell Wilson's shoulders. And the whole playoff run for Seattle is going to go on Russell Wilson.
Who's got the advantage at quarterback in this game?
I think Russell Wilson's quarterback right now. Yeah, I think Rodgers is taking a dip.
What do you think?
He's a couple steps back. He's still great, but he's taking some steps back.
I agree. Just with how Russell can run, get outside the pocket, and throw the ball down the field. Rodgers was so good at that in the last couple of years, but I don't see him do that as well as he used to.
What about the magic of just Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau in the playoffs? Going back through history.
When have you seen it recently?
It hasn't been like a while, but it's still there. That mystique is still there. Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers, and this team somehow. I don't even see, to be honest, I don't even see how the hell this team got the second seed. I don't. It doesn't make any sense to me that this team is where they're at, but they're at home in a winnable game in the playoffs, and I'm hard pressed to bet against them right now.
Green Bay's it's a hard team to really put your finger on because the games they did lose, man, they got smacked and they looked bad. Like when they went out to San Francisco beat the hell out of them. But it's not on the road. They're at home. They're in Lambeau.
You said it right there. They almost lost the last game they played. The last time they took the field, they almost lost to the damn Lions.
They went out to
David Blau.
They went out to the Chargers and got smoked. Yeah. But again, all those they're going.
Lambeau on Monday night with all the cards on the table. That defense played magnificent, and they went out and they physically beat the hell out of the Vikings. What do you do with that, man? I don't know about this team, man.
So
this team,
what's your pick?
I don't shoot. I don't know.
Take a coin, flip.
Pretty much, man. Both of these teams could get embarrassed or go win the Super Bowl, man. I honestly believe that right now. It just depends on who shows up. God, with this one, man, I'm gonna take Green Bay reluctantly. I'm gonna pick a weird score, because some weird stuff's gonna happen. This game is gonna be weird. What I'm predicting, there's gonna be a safety. Somebody's gonna block a punt and run it back for a touchdown. It's probably gonna end on some controversy. I'm gonna say Green Bay wins 26-25. And I don't even know if that score is physically possible.
Yes, it is.
In a football game.
Any score is possible.
Only one is not possible.
Yeah.
Every other score is possible.
No, but that's what I'm saying, man. Dude, I think Green Bay wins on some weird stuff. 26-25. Some Lambo, man, Curly Lambo is going to come down from the heavens and do some weird stuff, and Green Bay is going to win 26-25 on some controversy.
I see actually the Seahawks winning. I just feel like they're the hotter team right now, and that's kind of what I look at going in the playoffs. So I just think Russell Wilson is just on fire. He's carrying that team on his shoulder.
He really is.
The way I do see the Packers winning is if there is bad weather and they do have to rely on the run, and Aaron Jones has an elite game. That's kind of how I see the Packers winning. But I'm going with, right now, I got to go with Russell Wilson. I got to go with the hotter team. I just feel like the Seahawks are going to go and the Packers win. I do feel this is going to be more of a high-scoring game as well. I'm going to say 34-31 Seahawks.
Yeah, I like Seattle as well. I've been riding Seattle for a while now. They're my pick to win the Super Bowl. I like that they, after the post-game press conference or the post-game interview, they're calling themselves the Road Warriors. They used to have the Legion of Doom, and now they're the Road Warriors. They need somebody.
Yeah.
Their fans need to have like the shoulder pads with the spikes and have it be blue and neon green. I think that'd be pretty sweet. But I just love Russell Wilson, man. I think he is absolutely in his prime right now, and he's just so hard to stop. They were showing it against Philly, and Philly couldn't decide, do we have a spy on him to shut him down so he doesn't pick up these 3rd and 5s with his legs? But then you put a spy on him, and then he just throws it over the top of the spy.
Yeah.
Like with crossing routes. Like he's so hard to defend, and I think he's just going to make those plays in those key moments. If he needs to run it with the legs, he'll get it with his legs. If he needs to throw it, he'll throw it. And the big player is Metcalf, the receiver, just an absolute star. He's really starting to show up now.
Yes.
And I think he's going to have a huge game.
I'm becoming a big fan of his, man. He was a kid that was coming out of Ole Miss, right? And he's a physical specimen.
Yeah.
But people weren't super high on him because they said he was a little slow. He might be like a little too big for wide receiver, if that makes any sense. But he's starting to really just become a gamer, man.
He's going to be a star.
Yeah, I think so too. I really think so. But, yeah, man, it's going to be tough, man. It's a tough game. All 4 of these games are pretty tough to call, and that's what makes it so beautiful, man.
And I have the score just because I didn't get to throw in that score. I like Seattle. I'll say 28-24.
You got Seattle winning the game, coming out 28-24. Man, if they do it, man, if they go on to win. Now, they can get so if they beat Green Bay and Minnesota beat San Francisco, Seattle will get the home field, and your Super Bowl prediction will be looking pretty nice, man.
I like them to go to San Francisco and win too. I do. I mean, they already did in the regular season. They had San Francisco beat. I mean, it's controversial that last play of the game, last game of the regular season, right on the goal line. It could have gone either way. So I mean, Seattle can go in and beat anybody.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome sitting here talking about these playoffs because the wild card did not disappoint, and I think this weekend is going to be even better. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. We're going to wrap up this Lions edition of the Detroit Sports Sit Down. My name is Tom Murphy Jr. On behalf of Dan Murphy and Joe Perry, we would like to wish you a happy new year. 2020 is the year of the Lion. Forward down the field. Peace.